The moment Rowan Mercer looked across the crowded railway station that bright autumn morning, his heart stopped beating for what felt like an eternity. 20 years had passed since the day he buried the love of his life. 20 years of lonely birthdays, silent dinners, and endless nights spent wondering why fate had stolen everything from him. Yet there she was, standing beneath the golden morning sunlight exactly where thousands of strangers hurried past without noticing the miracle unfolding before his eyes. She looked older, wiser, but unmistakably the same woman he had once promised to love forever. Beside her stood a young woman in her early 20s, and the moment Rowan saw her face, every breath disappeared from his lungs. She had his eyes. She had the same determined expression he saw every morning in his own reflection. In that single heartbeat, everything he believed about his past collapsed into a mystery that would change every remaining day of his life. Before we continue, if you believe kindness, forgiveness, and second chances can change lives, please take a moment to like this video, comment where you're watching from, share this story with someone you care about, and subscribe to Spread Love Daily for more heartfelt stories that remind us hope never truly disappears. Rowan Mercer had spent the last 20 years raising his son, Nolan, completely alone after the tragic car accident that supposedly claimed his wife, Maris. The accident had happened during a violent storm while she was traveling to visit her sick mother in another state. The authorities recovered only a few personal belongings from the wreckage because the vehicle had fallen into a flooded river. Rowan had trusted the official reports, attended the memorial service, and slowly accepted the impossible truth. Every photograph of Maris remained on the walls of their little home, not because he couldn't move on, but because he wanted his son to grow up knowing how deeply his mother had loved them. Life had never been easy. Rowan worked long construction shifts during the day and repaired furniture at night just to keep food on the table. While other fathers attended school events with smiling wives beside them, Rowan quietly sat alone, always pretending everything was perfectly fine. He sacrificed vacations, new clothes, and personal dreams so Nolan could have music lessons, books, and the opportunity to attend college. Every difficult decision was made with one promise echoing inside his heart, that Maris would have wanted their son to have a better future. The station that morning was simply supposed to be another ordinary stop before visiting Nolan at graduate school. Rowan carried a small gift wrapped in brown paper, proud that his son had earned a scholarship despite every hardship they had endured together. Instead, destiny had prepared something no human heart could have imagined. He slowly stepped forward through the crowd, unable to believe what his own eyes were showing him. The woman turned toward him, and her face instantly lost every trace of color. Her hands trembled. Tears filled her eyes before she even spoke a single word. The young woman beside her looked back and forth between them with complete confusion, unaware that 20 years of buried pain had suddenly come alive. For several endless seconds nobody moved. The sounds of arriving trains, rolling luggage, and distant announcements disappeared beneath the thunder of Rowan's heartbeat. He wanted to believe he was dreaming, yet every detail felt painfully real. Maris finally lowered her head as tears streamed silently across her face. Rowan immediately understood something that frightened him even more than seeing someone believed to be dead standing before him. She hadn't forgotten him. She had remembered him every single day. As they sat together on a quiet bench outside the station beneath warm daylight, the truth slowly unfolded piece by piece. 20 years earlier, after the accident, Maris had survived but suffered severe memory loss. She had been rescued hundreds of miles downstream without identification. A charitable family cared for her while doctors struggled to help restore her memories. Months became years. She remembered only fragments of her childhood and eventually accepted the identity others helped her rebuild. During that time, she discovered she was pregnant. Believing she had no surviving family, she gave birth to a daughter she named Alara. The young woman standing beside her was that daughter. As Alara quietly listened, she learned the incredible truth about her own life. The father Maris believed had abandoned them had never even known she existed. Rowan stared into Alara's eyes, seeing his own reflection looking back for the very first time. 20 years of missed birthdays, missed first steps, missed graduations, and missed bedtime stories crashed into him with unbearable force. He realized he had unknowingly spent decades grieving two people instead of one. Maris explained that only recently had fragments of her memories begun returning after receiving treatment from a neurological specialist. Familiar places, songs, and photographs slowly reopened doors that had remained locked inside her mind for decades. One forgotten photograph hidden inside an old keepsake box finally revealed Rowan's face, leading her through months of searching until she finally found his name connected to the town where they had once built their dreams together. She had come to the station hoping only to see him from a distance before deciding whether reopening old wounds would bring healing or only greater pain. Instead, fate arranged the meeting itself. Rowan did not feel anger. Surprisingly, there was none. 20 years had stolen enough from all of them already. Looking into Maris's exhausted eyes, he saw someone who had suffered just as deeply as he had. She had spent years believing she had been abandoned by a forgotten past, while he had mourned a wife he believed lay beneath a cold gravestone. Both had lived incomplete lives shaped by circumstances neither had chosen. Ilara struggled even more than either parent. She suddenly discovered the father she had dreamed about all her life was standing only a few feet away. She had inherited Rowan's quiet determination, his thoughtful nature, and even his habit of smiling with only one side of his mouth. Yet she had never known where those traits came from. Every unanswered question from childhood suddenly found an answer, but that answer carried enormous emotional weight. The following weeks became the beginning of something none of them believed possible. Rowan introduced Maris and Ilara to Nolan. Although shocked beyond words, Nolan embraced his sister almost immediately. Growing up without a mother had taught him that family was not measured by perfect timing but by unconditional love. Instead of resentment, he offered kindness. Instead of blame, he offered patience. The family visited old places together under bright daytime skies. They walked through the neighborhood where Rowan and Maris had first fallen in love, visited the small bakery where they used to buy cinnamon rolls every Sunday morning, and stood beneath the enormous oak tree where Rowan had proposed so many years before. Every location unlocked another memory inside Maris's healing mind. Sometimes she laughed through happy tears. Other times she quietly cried for hours over moments she could never recover. Rowan often watched Ilara and Nolan laughing together like lifelong siblings, sharing stories, embarrassing childhood memories, and discovering countless similarities despite growing up in completely different worlds. He realized that while the past could never be rewritten, the future still contained thousands of empty pages waiting to be filled. Months later, Rowan transformed the spare bedroom in his modest home into a welcoming space for Ilara whenever she wished to visit. Family photographs that once ended with Nolan's childhood now stretched across another wall, celebrating new memories made together. The house that had echoed with silence for decades slowly filled with laughter once again. Maris never asked Rowan to erase the pain of the past because she knew such wounds never truly disappear. Instead, they chose something far stronger than forgetting. They chose forgiveness. They accepted that life sometimes creates tragedies with no villain, only victims struggling to find one another again. One bright spring afternoon, Rowan stood in the backyard watching Nolan teach Ilara how to plant young maple trees while Maris smiled nearby beneath the warm sunshine. He finally understood something that grief had hidden from him for 20 years. Love does not disappear simply because time passes. Real love patiently waits, sometimes beyond reason, beyond memory, and beyond hope itself, until hearts are ready to recognize it again. The miracle was never that Rowan saw someone he believed had died. The true miracle was that after losing 2 decades, this broken family still found the courage to love one another without bitterness. Their story became living proof that even when life steals precious years, it can never completely steal the possibility of healing. If this story touched your heart, please write the word hope in the comments to honor families who never stopped believing in love, miracles, and second chances. As Rowan watched the sun shine across the smiling faces of the people he thought he had lost forever, he silently thanked life for one impossible morning at a crowded railway station. Sometimes the greatest miracles arrive quietly, disguised as ordinary moments, reminding us that hope has a remarkable way of finding those who never completely let it go. Before you leave, if this story moved your heart even a little, please like this video, leave a heartfelt comment, share it with someone who believes in the power of family, and subscribe to spread love daily. Your support helps keep inspiring stories like this reaching people who need hope the most.